On today's episode of the Weekly Monster Truck Podcast, join Ryan Zielsdorf as I as we discuss the latest in the monster truck industry. So strap yourselves in.
Mash that loud pedal.
And get ready, because
it's
time
to jam!
Hello and welcome back to the Weekly Monster Truck Podcast. Hi again, everyone. I'm Jackson, also known as Monster Jammer Stone. You can follow my official social media at Monster Jammer Stone on Instagram, Monster Jammer Stone on YouTube. Today, I am privileged to be joined by Ryan Zielsdorf, my buddy, my man. Ryan, thank you for coming back on the podcast once again.
Of course, man. You know I love coming here.
And
we talk truck.
And we have so much to talk about today. Seriously, guys, there has been so much that has happened over the past course of the week. You know, I thought last week was just filled with news. There is so much to talk about today, so I'm going to jump straight into it. And as always, for you fans that are watching on YouTube, you guys get to see videos. So some of these videos and photos are courtesy of the people that own these things. I want to thank them again in advance. So let's just jump straight into it. We're going to start off with some Spin Master news. It was posted on the Monster Truck Collecting Facebook page that there is going to be a Breaking World Records set of trucks. I believe they're going to be like the Fire and Ice trucks, like Walmart exclusives. I don't know much about them. There was really only a teaser that was shown, which was of Zombie, and they look absolutely promising. This is just so cool. This is what I love about Spin Master, is that they have this level of ingenuity, and they just go above and beyond every single time, and it's like, we talked about this all the way, the last one that me and you did, Ryan, we talked about the Gears and Galaxies one. No one asked for them. No one. But it's something that we want. I looked at this and I was like, I never even asked for this, but I want them. I want all of them. It's so cool. The teaser looks so promising, and it's just a simple design. It's so neat, and I love it so much. And I'm curious to hear your thoughts, Ryan, on these Breaking World Record diecast trucks.
Well, let me tell you what, Spin Master's been putting in the work, man. They have been kicking these trucks out, and they have really been putting in the work. I'm really excited to actually have them in my hand and see what they look like in person, because, like I mentioned earlier, you just got to see them in person. But based on the pictures, they look great.
And again, I'm going to put a photo up on screen so you guys can check them out. But, yeah, really beautiful. Next one I want to move to is the first bit of independent monster truck news. This is pretty incredible. I don't know if you've seen this floating around, Ryan. You probably have. But nonetheless, Monster Truck Wars have announced that Colton Eichelberger and Jared Eichelberger are going to be at select shows for Monster Truck Wars, driving the Outlaw truck and the Sheriff monster truck. Both really cool indies. I know Jared's been doing this on and off for a couple of years, but to see Colton behind the wheel of Outlaw, formerly Mike Harper's, I think it still is. And then before that, it was actually Mike Wine's Jersey Outlaw all the way back in the 80s and early 90s. That was just awesome. But yeah, to get to see Colton still driving, the Eichel brothers driving on an independent circuit, really good. They had a show about a weekend or two ago. It was actually, I think it was the Houston weekend that, the first round of Houston, they had shows there. This is just awesome. You know, I think we talked about this last time when we had, some of the drivers that were leaving and some of the drivers that aren't driving currently. They're getting this experience, not that they need the experience, but they're getting this time to keep driving, to keep doing things despite not being in Monster Jam. I miss Colton so much. I really wish he was in Monster Jam now, but I would rather him drive Outlaw than not drive anything at all. Same goes with Jared, even though Jared hasn't been a Monster Jam for a few years. This is just super, super awesome just to see. I mean, they're going back to their dad's roots of being an independent driver, not really driving with a... Well, yeah, Tom, I guess, was an indie guy because he's working for Paul Schaefer. But nonetheless, it's just so cool. I love this so much. So, Ryan, I want to ask you, what do you think of the Eichel brothers driving Outlaw and Sheriff? I believe Colton's an Outlaw and Jared is in Sheriff. So, what do you think of the Eichel brothers?
I thought it was quite interesting how, I don't know if it just came up out of the blue that they were going to drive in this, but I felt like it was very secretive. Like, I feel like we didn't really hear a whole lot about it until, like, the event happened. I'm really excited to see Jared back behind the wheel. It's been so long since I've seen him drive, or everybody drive, I guess. And Colton, I'm glad he's getting the practice because I think he's going to come back into Monster Jam better than he's ever been because Colton is ready to step it up, especially with Neil Elliott retiring from Monster Jam. Colton, I think, is going to slide into that spot having that Max D experience. So if he can perfect that two-wheel ability to get back into stadiums, it's going to be great.
Absolutely, and you brought up a very good point that I wanted to touch upon now that unfortunately Neil Elliott doesn't look like he's getting back into a monster truck anytime soon, which is really, really disheartening. But nonetheless, I desperately want to see Colton take that second main man Max D spot. Obviously, you have Tom, then you have Neil, then you have, all the other drivers. But now, unfortunately, that Neil, as of right now, looks like he's out of the equation. To see Colton get this experience, like you said, and for him to hopefully come back into Monster Jam, will get him this second position that he so deserves. He's shown parts of this before. He just, I don't know. I guess you are right in the sense that he does need a bit more practice, I guess you can say. Moving on to another thing, this is Team Scream related, is that Avenger Fire will be running in Houston rounds 3 and 4 this weekend, and this isn't necessarily news, but it is still worth talking about. Avenger isn't the only one, as Rage last weekend debuted a brand new body. It was the glow-in-the-dark body. Most people thought it was just going to be the normal S10 Chevy body that Rage has been running since its existence. But no, it's a new square body, and it's still got the glow-in-the-dark things that they did talk about. Oh my god. I love it. I love it. So everyone has been going on about it. It is so... it's so beautiful. It is so nice looking. It fits Rage so much. It feels like a completely different truck. It kind of reminds me of how I felt about Black Pearl. You remember when it first debuted, we were like, damn, this truck is hot. And then they reinvented it with the 2019 version. We were all going, oh, it was so, don't mind my weird reaction, but like, it almost felt like a completely different truck. That's how I feel about this new Rage. It feels like a completely different truck. And of course, Avenger Fire, I love the truck. We've seen it here and there sometimes, and it's coming back. That is just epic. So I'm going to hand it over to you, Ryan. What do you think of Rage and, the new Rage, I should say, and Avenger Fire coming back for this weekend in Houston, which actually starts tomorrow as of recording this podcast?
Dude, oh my gosh, when I saw Rage, the pictures, I wanted to go to Houston so bad and just see it in person because it is so beautiful. The front of the truck looks amazing. I think it's a perfect new change of the truck, of the body scheme. I love it. And bringing Avenger Fire back, I mean, you know what he did last time he was at Avenger Fire. He killed that weekend at the All-Star Challenge, so I'm excited to see him back.
Absolutely. And this last news thing, I'm at a loss of words. This was a huge surprise, and I am so excited to get into this. So I'm just going to jump straight into this. So currently, before the other day, the main shows that we know of was Houston's rounds 3 and 4, and then the next weekend, in Houston, the final weekend in Houston. Then I think they have a week's break, and then they go to I think it's Orlando, Tampa, and no, actually no, sorry, I think it's Orlando, Jacksonville, and then Tampa, and that was it. Well, and San Antonio, but that was in July. We'd have to wait that long. Well, now there's another show, and this is probably going to be the most interesting Monster Jam show, other than Orlando, because obviously they're doing the Hall of Fame thing, which I'm very excited for. But the thing that I want to talk about is Monster Jam at Atlanta Motor Speedway. That's right, you heard me correctly. One of the tracks that they do for NASCAR, very historic venue. Now Monster Jam is doing that. This is absolutely insane. This is so cool. I love that they're going here and that they're doing a show. I'm going to talk all about this in a second, but I am going to I'm going to run through the schedule and the lineup. So I'm going to look over at my phone so I can read out what there is. So there's 4 shows altogether. There's 2 shows on Saturday and there's 2 shows on Sunday. There are no pit parties, unfortunately, throughout the weekend. So, for the first Saturday show, the gates open at 10 a.m. The start time is 11 a.m. On the second show, on Saturday, the gates open at 4 p.m. and the start time is 5 p.m. On Sunday, the first show, the gates open at 10 a.m. and the start time is 11 a.m. And then Sunday, the second show, gates open at 4 p.m. and the start time is 5 p.m. The pre-sale, I should also mention, I believe starts very soon. I believe the date is February 9th. I will if you are listening on YouTube, I will put up the thing to tell you when it actually is. But let's get into the lineup, because the lineup is tweaked, and it's pretty interesting. So we'll get into this. So, here we go. The lineup for Atlanta consists of Avenger Jim Cola, Bad Company John Gordon, Gravedigger Kristen Anderson, Megalodon Adam Anderson, Bakugan Dragonoid Ryan Anderson, Max D Fire Tom Meents, Monster Mutt Dalmatian to be decided, Zach Garner and Wildside, Todd LeDuc and Monster Energy, Corey Rummel and Rage, Great Clips Mohawk Warrior, Bryce Kenny, and finally Barry Misawa in Zombie. So they still have the same amount of drivers, the same amount of trucks. There are a few truck changes, of course. We have Zach Garner. We have in Wildside. We have Bad Company this time. We have Dalmatian, which is very intriguing. Lindsey Reed is nowhere to be seen in this lineup. But a very, very interesting lineup. I really like it. And I'm just intrigued about this whole thing. You know, they've got a giant speedway to themselves. They're gonna have so much room on the infield, and this is just a dream. So don't mind me. I would seriously love. Look, I don't mind if they do the oh god, what's it called? What's the racing style that they do now? East Rutherford style, I think that's what it's called, or oval style. I don't know, but the style that they do on the series currently, that would still be epic, because obviously it's at Atlanta Motor Speedway. But seriously, if Feld, you are listening, please, please, please do a straight line drag course. That would be so cool to watch on the infield. That would be epic. That's just my hope. Don't know if they're going to do that. But nonetheless, I am very interested to see what they do. And more importantly, I'm interested in finding out what, Ryan, you make of all of this. Not just the lineup, but the show itself, the track, and just the fact that we are going to hit a historic venue for Monster Jam this year.
Yeah, I've just been looking forward to every new show that comes in, every new driver that gets the opportunity since we've taken this break. I'm excited to see Zach Garner competing on such a big stage now. He was on the Arena Series, one of 7 tours, so he wasn't such an essential part of Monster Jam at the time. But now you're one of 12 athletes in the one traveling tour, so it's going to be very interesting to see Zach compete on this level with John Gordon, who they have had lots of experience on the speedway-type monster truck competing area. So that'll be interesting. And then Monster Mutt Dalmatian, we kind of talked about this, Jackson, before. My guess is Cynthia Gautier. I think she'll be the one, but I have no idea. It'll be very interesting to see who they put in that spot.
Absolutely. And another thing that I was thinking of too is that really, monster trucks haven't necessarily. I remember back in the early 2000s, there was an independent circuit called the Pro Monster Truck Circuits. This is for you monster truck historians out there, like myself. There used to be a circuit called the Pro Monster Truck Circuit. They did a few shows in a few speedways like that. They did one at Daytona. They did one in the infield, which was really cool. And to me, it just feels so special that we get to see Monster Jam. It's such a great venue. But I do want to elaborate on what you said. This is Zach. Look, Zach's been in, I don't want to say stadium type aspects, but in terms of being in something other than an arena, he's done this before. But for Monster Jam specifically, he has not. He has not been in fact, he hasn't competed against half of these drivers. The Andersons. He hasn't competed against Mence. He hasn't competed against Leduc, Bryce Kenny, Byron Misawa, all the other drivers that are on this tour and in this event. He hasn't competed against. So it's gonna be, and seriously, the off-season stuff he did last year in all those independent shows, he got so much practice. You know that when he gets out onto that track, he's going to pull a rabbit out of the hat. I am so looking forward to seeing what Zach Garner has to do. The other thing I wanted to talk about, you talked about this too, is Monster Mutt Dalmatian. I don't know why Lindsay isn't there. Maybe it's a scheduling thing, or maybe they have something planned. But whatever it is, I'm really intrigued, and I kind of want to go with you too, because Candace announced that she was stepping down from Monster Truck, same with Neil. Excuse me. And that really just leaves Cynthia. And I think Cynthia, to make her return to Monster Trucks, especially in Atlanta Motor Speedway, it's like a dream come true. It's like a perfect Cinderella story, I guess you could say. It would just be so awesome just to see, and I love this lineup. It's a shame that they had to change it, because I really would have liked to have seen Cole Vernard, Jamie Garner on here. Jamie Garner especially, he would have been really interesting to watch. But nonetheless, I love the lineup. I love this event. I am literally on the edge of my seat for April. I literally cannot wait. It's going to be so amazing, and I'm at a loss of words. I don't know what to say. It's so awesome. Ryan, do you have anything else to add on, or shall we move on to the thing that everyone is wanting to hear about, and that is the results from last weekend in Houston?
I think me, just like all the fans, we're ready to get talking about Houston, man. Let's go.
All right, well, I'm going to fire through these, and then, of course, at the end, I'm going to ask you, Ryan, what you thought of it, and we'll go over some statistics. Quick little reminder to our Monster Jam fans listening in at home, I have a spreadsheet, a Google spreadsheet, that I am editing each weekend of Monster Jam action. That includes racing wins, win-to-loss ratios, overall event championships, all that you need to know so that you not only can you follow along each weekend on the podcast, but you can see how great these drivers are doing. I've always wanted to see, like, I know other people like Josh Lee on Instagram does this, but I've really wanted to see a Monster Truck League kind of take in this sporting aspect to it by having these things, and by doing this, making this public, I'm not even bothered. It's just would be so cool to see, and so I'm doing that for you guys, and I'm gonna be keeping track each and every weekend of action. So obviously the weekends that there is no Monster Jam, I'm not gonna be updating it, but every weekend that there is action, I'm gonna be updating it. So I'm going to quickly go through the results. So, Houston, Texas show won at NRG Stadium for the 2021 Championship Series. In round 1, Overboard defeated Black Pearl. Crazy first race, teammate versus teammate. That was an insane race. Great Clips Mohawk Warrior defeated Scooby-Doo. Bakugan Dragonoid defeated Avenger. And Megalodon defeated Monster Energy. In round 2, Zombie defeated Overboard. Max D Fire defeated Scooby-Doo. Gravedigger defeated Great Clips Mohawk Warrior. And Megalodon defeated Rage. In the semi-finals, Max D Fire defeated Zombie. Megalodon defeated Gravedigger. And in the final round, Adam Anderson Megalodon defeated the 12-time World Finals champion and the Professor Tom Meents in Max D Fire. Coming out for skills, your winner with a 9.585 was Ryan Anderson in the Bakugan Dragonoid, followed by Overboard in second, Megalodon in third, Great Clips in fourth, Max D in fifth, Zombie in sixth, Monster Energy in seventh, Scooby-Doo in eighth, Avenger in ninth, Gravedigger in 10th, Black Pearl in 11th, and Rage in 12th. And finally, for freestyle, your winner with a 9.437 was Toddler Duke in Monster Energy. Second place was Great Clips Mohawk Warrior. Third place was Max D Fire Tom Meents. Avenger Jim Collar in fourth. Overboard in fifth. Bakugan in sixth. Megalodon in seventh. Rage in 8th, Zombie in 9th, Scooby-Doo in 10th, Black Pearl in 11th, and Gravedigger in 12th. Your overall event champion for show number 1 was Max D Fire Tom Meents. I'm going to quickly cut in here. I'm going to save the statistics until the end of the second show. But I do want to hear what you have to say, Ryan, about this show. But very quickly, I do want to mention about this show in terms of the exciting aspects and just everything that happened. First off, what a racing competition. It came down to Adam Anderson and Tom Meents. Literally, Anderson versus Anderson going out. Literally could not think of anything better. I talked about the first race. That was just awesome. Skills was absolutely insane. It was so cool. Jamie Garner almost had a rollover, but he managed to save it. Ryan Anderson had an amazing bicycle to moonwalk that was just insane. He's been doing it for so long, and it's kind of hard to, I don't know, it was just so impressive, especially since now it's not like it's just a son of a digger thing. He can do this in any truck. He can do this in Bakugan, which is just so cool. And for freestyle, oh my lord, the freestyle competition was off the charts. It was so exciting. Every single driver laid down a fantastic run that weekend, and of course, you know what's coming, Ryan. Jim Collar's absolutely amazing save. I will put a video up on screen. That save was absolutely jaw-dropping, where he sent it off one of the pads on the left side, and then he kind of porkined it into one of the two-wheel skills jumps, and then he did like 2 flips and landed on his wheels. I remember Connor being there and filming it and streaming it on Facebook. He went off, and I did too. That was just an insane save to watch live. I can imagine all the Monster Jam fans in NRG Stadium would have gone electric over that save. That was just unbelievable. And Tom Meents continuing his dominance with coming third in freestyle. He came I think he came 6th in skills, and of course he came 2nd in racing, so he really did really good there. That got him the overall event championship. Before I move on to show number 2, Ryan, is there anything that, first off, that I've missed, that I haven't mentioned, that's worth mentioning? And secondly, just the show itself. What do you think about show number 1 and the first stop for the 2021 Stadium Championship Series?
Oh my gosh, there's so much to unpack here. It was such a great weekend of competition. But starting out with show number 1, you did a great job covering racing. It was amazing. Skills. This is skills and freestyle, obviously, fan favorites. I have really started to like skills a lot more. But in skills, it was insane how Ryan can just have such a long break, even from Arlington to now. Like, he just perfectly gets it up into a bicycle, into a moonwalk, somehow pulls it off, and then he's like, oh, for my second hit, let me just go into this insane sidewall save. It is just incredible what the man can do. It was a fantastic skills competition, but I will tell you what, in freestyle, I had full body goosebumps the entire competition. I could not believe how normal of an event it seemed after having that long of a break. Like, I feel like we didn't skip a beat at all. Like, every truck came out and competed. And something else I wanted to touch on is in Kristen Anderson's run, a lot of people kind of just, they forgot about it because of the electrical problems. But the way she started out her run, she came out with momentum, with air, and she was sending it off of every jump until she had all of her problems. So I'm looking forward to seeing what she can do this upcoming weekend. But just touching on what you said about Jim Kohler show, huge thanks to Connor for live streaming that event. And he won't be live streaming this weekend, unfortunately, but every other event after this, he will be live streaming. So that's a huge blessing. But that Jim Kohler save, every step of that moment was a shock to me. He sent it pretty far, and I was like, wow, that was pretty impressive. And then he comboed it right into it. I was like, wow, look at Jim. And then he went out of control, and I was like, okay. And then obviously the save, So it's just a great moment of competition. It was so great, but we can start getting into show number 2.
Absolutely, and actually, one more thing I did want to talk about, as a onlooker for this sport, I feel like it's important to touch upon this. Again, I want to stress here that I'm not bashing on any driver or anyone, just anyone. I'm not that type of person, and I want to stress that very keenly here. Just because a person that, in my opinion, didn't deserve the freestyle win doesn't mean that I think less of them as a driver or less of them as a person. I think, like, for example, Todd LeDuc and Monster Energy won freestyle. He is a great driver, and I don't think anything less of him because he won freestyle. Just in my personal opinion, Jim Kohler had the most amazing freestyle, and I think, in my personal opinion, he should have won. That's my personal opinion. You guys can disagree with me if you want. That's just how I see it. And again, I do want to stress here, it's that's just what I think, and I don't think anything less of Todd LeDuc or anyone in general. Just because I think that the winner of freestyle should have been someone different doesn't mean that I'm taking anything away from them as a person or as a driver. I did want to get through that because that was one thing that I remember everyone talking about on social media, that Jim should have won freestyle, and I think that's important. Ryan, is there anything that you want to combo off that?
I did actually want to mention this one last thing. While you were discussing that, I was looking back over the freestyle scores. I feel like Corey did not get the recognition he deserved from his first show, freestyle. The flow and momentum he had in that run was insane. And to only get an 8.186, I thought was a little low. I mean, I understand he came out third in freestyle, but from what we had seen previously with Scooby-Doo and Zombie, I cannot believe that score was that low. But hey, the Houston fans, there weren't very many of them, but they got the scores decent right all weekend. But there were some elements, like you said, that you could disagree.
Absolutely, and I'm going to move on to round number 2 in Houston. So, round 1 of racing, and the first, literally, he didn't even get a break. It's like, you have intros, and like, alright, sick. Then you have Ryan Anderson in Bakugan, and then you have Todd LeDuc in Monster Energy, and you're like, oh, sweet, that's pretty epic. And then you have the race itself, and you're like, this is going to be so close. And then as soon as they get to the final corner, I don't know what happened, but it was
race of the year.
Absolutely. It reminded me of what happened at Houston. What was that, Houston? It reminded me of what happened at Melbourne Show 1 that I went to, where essentially both drivers crashed, but rather than just them rolling over in the turn, Todd was cattywampus all over the place. He was shocking when he went around and he got up on the wheel. He one-wheeled it almost to where the center jammer was. Ryan was like, oh damn, I gotta get out of his way, or at least it looked like he was. And then because of that, he went so crooked that he like cartwheeled and barrel rolled like so many different times. He broke something. I really wish I could remember what it was. Ryan, I don't know. I don't know what it was, but maybe later when I get to it, maybe you can tell me what it is. But nonetheless, he broke something. He did come back out for freestyle, thankfully. But seriously, like first race out, wow. That was just so awesome. Zombie defeated the Great Clips Mohawk Warrior. Maxi Fire defeated Black Pearl, and Overboard defeated Gravedigger. In the semifinals, Megalodon defeated Zombie. Oh, sorry, I actually skipped around. My bad. Sorry. In round number 1... Okay, sorry. Sorry, guys. I'll restart. In round number 1, Bakugan Dragonoid defeated Monster Energy. Great Clips Mohawk Warrior defeated Scooby-Doo. Black Pearl defeated Rage. And Overboard defeated Avenger. Because of Bakugan not being able to make the next round race due to the crazy amount of damage that the truck had suffered, in round 2... Monster Energy advanced to fill in for him. Unfortunately, he lost to Adam Anderson and Megalodon. Zombie defeated the Great Clips Mohawk Warrior. Max D Fire defeated Black Pearl, and Overboard defeated Gravedigger. In the semifinals, Megalodon defeated Zombie, and Max D Fire defeated Overboard. The finals was the same as the first day. That is just, oh man, that was awesome. We got to see 2 Anderson versus Mence showdowns. That was awesome. And essentially repeating history repeating itself. Adam Anderson Megalodon defeated Tom Mence in Max D Fire. For the Great Clips Skills Challenge, the Professor had an amazing 2 set of skills runs, being the amazing Maximum Moonwalk, as he calls it, and the Popper Moonwalk thing that he did off one of the 2 skills ramps. That was an insane run. He won with a 9.400. Excuse me. Barry Misawa in Zombie came 2nd. Bakugan in 3rd. Megalodon in 4th. Great Clips in 5th. Monster Energy in 6th. Rage in 7th. Overboard in 8th. Scooby-Doo in 9th. Avenger in 10th. Gravedigger in 11th. And Black Pearl in 12th. One other thing I wanted to talk about was Zombie had an amazing cyclone. You know, normally when people do donuts in skills, it can get boring, considering you seeing people in 2 wheels. But keep in mind, number 1, we're talking about the person with the most revolutions in 1 minute and most revolutions in a monster truck, or essentially most donuts, or most spins, I should say. And secondly, this man is insane. I don't know if you've seen this, Ryan. I'll put a video up on screen. He gets so much. It's like he's like Mence. He's like Mence. He gets so much speed and so much rotation, and he finishes by flexing the back wheels up. At that point, it's like it's unique because no one really does them. I think it's a bit of, to me, it's a bit of a gamble, right? Because you can only do one of them, so you have to make it count, right? And in my opinion, he did. He capitalized on the fact that if he did this, he had to make it good, so he would only have to do one, and he did that. And he got 2nd for that, which I really think is quite impressive. But yeah, that was amazing skills one. Other moves other things that I saw from this was Monster Energy had an amazing stoppy into a bit of a moonwalk, but he got it up on 1 wheel and he tried to save it, but unfortunately he could not. That was just awesome. The whole skills challenge from that evening was just incredible. And moving on to freestyle, I don't know what to say. There were so many moments from this show that are worth talking about. Rage, I'll go through the standings for freestyle. So the winner with a 9.551 was Corey Rummel in Rage. That was just awesome. Again, I'll get to that in just a second. Really surprising was Kristen Anderson in Gravedigger coming in second, Max D Fire in third, Avenger in fourth, Megalodon in fifth, Great Clips in sixth, Scooby-Doo in seventh, Overboard in eighth, Zombie in ninth, Bakugan in 10th, Monster Energy in 11th, and Black Pearl in 12th. So, going back to what happened at this show, it's just so many awesome moments. Corey Rummel in Rage had the freestyle of the night. In my opinion, so deserving. I love that freestyle run. It was so good, but I'm not done yet because Kristen Anderson, first move out, she sent it off of the jammer over the pad. She got a bit cattywampus on the mini flip ramp, which made a return, which was awesome to see. She got cattywampus off of that. It looked like she was in trouble, but she gassed out of being on the front end, and she saved it. That was so awesome, and the rest of her freestyle was incredible. That was amazing. Tom Meents, great freestyle as always. Adam also, Avenger I wanted to talk about. Avenger had another amazing save. In my opinion, not as good as the save that he did from the first show, but still an amazing save. And one thing I wanted to talk about that no one's really been talking about is Adam's been, I don't know if you noticed this too, but Adam's been doing this really cool but strange move where he hikes it up into a bicycle off of nothing. It's like he does a turn, somehow gets the wheels up into a bicycle and rolls it out. Seriously, if he can keep doing that, that would be epic. But the thing that I want to mention about that is, if he does that in skills, I think he's on the level with his brother, Ryan. I really think that that's the level of ingenuity that it's going to take. Because it's, everyone now knows how to do it off of a ramp, right? And people can do that. But to do it off of nothing, I think that's going to be more impressive. So, Adam, if you're listening to this, try and do it in skills. See how it goes. It's just my opinion. Nonetheless, Adam had an amazing freestyle with that move. Bryce Kenny had an amazing save at the end of his run where he nosedived it. He completely destroyed the front end, broken tie rod, and he rolled it over and saved it. Oh, man, that was so good. That was an incredible save. There's so much other moments in here. There's probably other bits and other runs that I've completely missed. Just there was so much action to talk about. And finally, your overall event champion for that weekend was Tom Meents and Max D Fire. Very quickly want to get through the rest of this, and then I'm going to let you comment on show 2, Ryan. So, the points series, here's how it's looking so far. Tom Meents and Max D Fire is currently leading with 62 points, followed by Adam Anderson and Megalodon with 57, Great Clips Mohawk Warrior Bryce Kenny with 51 points, Overboard with 45, Zombie also tied with 45, Bakugan with 41, Monster Energy with 38, Kristen Anderson and Gravedigger with 32, Rage with 31, Avenger with 30, Scooby-Doo with 21, and Black Pearl with 15. Cole, unfortunately, just didn't have the best of weekends. It really sucks to see him down there. But nonetheless, oh man, Tom Meents is back, ladies and gentlemen. Monster Jam is back, and Tom Meents is back. And he is leading the 2021 Stadium Championship Series. You have no idea how awesome that feels as a Max D fan. As a Tom Meents fan myself, I am so pumped. This is just awesome. I love seeing Tom Meents at the top of his game. Now, I've finished talking about this show 2 and the points. Before I get to the statistics that I want to bring up, Ryan, is there anything that you would like to talk about from show 2? I think you're dying to talk about it, and I totally get you why.
So you may want to grab some popcorn and strap yourselves in because this is something so starting out in racing, I cannot get over Todd's round 1 racing save. Because I feel like a lot of people saw Todd. I mean, obviously, if you went and rewatched it, you were going to watch Todd's save anyway. Yeah. But I feel like a lot of people, if you watched it live, he went up, balanced it on the nose, and then you saw Ryan getting in trouble. and you paid attention to him.
Mm.
Todd flips it up and saves it. It blows my mind the control that he has in that truck. Fantastic racing competition, and might I say, if Jimmy Cretin was in this lineup, I think he's winning racing every night, because the tacky dirt that they have in that stadium, that would be a perfect racing track for Jimmy, because he doesn't really drift. So it would just be low, sticking to the ground, not getting up on two wheels. That would be his course. Moving on to skills. Ryan, if he can get that bicycle moonwalk down, that would be fantastic. Touching on what you said about Zombie with the donuts. Camden in Arlington last year told me, which I'm sure many people know if you pay attention to sport, that there is now a 20-second rule for skills, that your move cannot go longer than 20 seconds, or they just want you to set it back down. So I don't know if the same rule applies for donuts also in the skills competition if you do your one donut, but I agree with you. If you can go out there and just spin the heck out of it for 20 seconds, I think you could compete for the lead, because that is something that we don't see hardly anymore, and I would love to see that. Another thing, I was kind of disappointed. I know that Christian was going to test out the back of the truck to see, but I think if Christian could have just thrusted the truck forward and got it up on the front two wheels, you could have done something even after damaging the truck on the first hit. And then Monster Energy, like you said, fantastic skills move, even though it was one hit and he wrecked. That was out of control. Love it. Total Todd LeDuc moment. Megalodon, like you said, if he can start getting up on the side without even hitting an obstacle, Adam really impressed me this weekend, because I'm not saying I'm an Adam Anderson hater by any means, because I love every driver, but he's always been on my nerves a little bit, because I feel like you've seen in his intro video, really goofy and silly, not serious and not getting you hype. And then he comes out in the truck, and I don't want to say he's not driving to the level that I think he could be at, but I feel like there's a lot of times that he just kind of just airs it out and doesn't really do a whole lot, although 2020 he was doing really well. But this weekend, he really was giving Ryan a run for his money. Even though Ryan had truck problems a couple times in that second show, Adam was really kicking butt this weekend, and I was really excited to see that. And then for freestyle, like you said, Rage, fantastic freestyle run, well-deserved. Can't believe how high of a score he got so early in the field after having such a good run. But that just shows that these Houston fans, for any driver, backflips is going to get you points. And we saw that from this past weekend. Backflips is going to get you points. That's why Todd won the first week. Jim Kohler, he had an amazing save. No backflip. Todd, good flow, good run. Mini flip, that's the win. So it's going to be important for these drivers, which if you're coming out early in the pack, if you get that first backflip, your score is going to go up. So that's going to be important to note going into this coming weekend. And the last thing I wanted to touch on before you go into your statistics, I know I'll go and check. Let's see. 5 points, I believe. Yeah, Tom's up 5 points right now. If Tom keeps coming in with the strategy he's doing and staying consistent and not pushing the truck's limits or not going over and above, nobody's taking this from Tom. Nobody. Tom, he won one competition all weekend, and he won overall twice. That just shows how consistent he is and how he can go out in skills, and he's getting no lower than an 8 every time. Yeah. That's easy points. Racing, he went to the final round of racing both nights. That's a lot of points if he can keep getting that racing going. And freestyle, if he's laying down above an 8 every time, he is consistent every competition he's in. I'm calling it early, Jackson. You may agree, disagree. I think Tom's walking away with the series championship.
Well, first off, I wouldn't want to disagree, because that is exactly what I want to see, because I'm a huge Tom Meents fan, albeit a little bit biased, but of course I'd love to see anyone win the series, whether it be Adam, Ryan, Kristen just as a wild card, Kohler, Rummel, anyone like that. I don't mind who would win this series, but if Tom Meents wins it, that would just be, like I said earlier, a Cinderella story. And to further go on about what you said before about Tom Meents and his consistency. I've said this before, especially last year when we were talking about each championship series in each week, coming into each and every week. Consistency gets you points. If you are consistent in each competition, it doesn't matter what really you do. As long as you are consistent with points in each competition, you will get points. If you come second in racing, if you come second in racing and you get say you get third in skills and you get third in freestyle. That's like you get like 11 points in racing. You get 10 points for skills and freestyle. That's like already like so many points leading. And the overall event championships is what's going to be key here, because the most points that you get from the overall event championship is what matters. The overall event championship is going to help you out with getting more points, because they tally up the points from each of the other competitions from the night, and then they add that on to the series total. That, if if Tom Meents can keep doing that and keep being consistent each and every week, I agree with you. He's won the series. If he keeps doing that, he will win the series by far, above and beyond. So really, all the other drivers out there, obviously they should worry about wowing the fans and putting on an amazing show each and every week, since that's technically their job. But if they want to win this series, consistency is key. That is what they need to do. They need to be consistent in each competition, and that's how you're going to get points. That's how you're going to win. I'm gonna ask Ryan if there's anything you want to combo onto what I've said. Otherwise, I will get into these statistics.
Let's get into these statistics, man.
Alright, so here's what I've done. So I'm first gonna read out the win-to-loss ratio from this weekend in Houston. Then I'm going to go back to the spreadsheet and talk about all the other points in there and who's got this amount and total numbers. So, Adam Anderson has the best racing win-to-loss ratio with 7 back-to-back wins. He is undefeated. That is insane. He has been on a roll. And of course, Tom Meents and Max D Fire, he has a 4 wins to 2 losses ratio. Overboard next has the second best with 3 wins to 2 losses. Great Clips, Mohawk Warrior, and Zombie both have 2 wins and 2 losses. Bakugan Dragonoid technically would, so because of the fact that he lost, the fact that he won at the second show in Houston and he couldn't make it back, with how that works, you only carry ahead the races that he actually ran. So he has 2 wins to 1 loss. So all the other drivers you see on here would have lost 2 times, right? Because there's 2 shows. But because of how it works with Ryan and because he crashed, he only has 1 loss. So he has 2 wins because he won the first night and then lost, and then he won the second night, but then because of truck problems, he couldn't make it back. Other than that, you have Kristen in Gravedigger and Black Pearl, both with 1 win and 2 losses, and Scooby-Doo, Avenger, and Rage both have 0 wins and 2 losses to their name, and Monster Energy unfortunately has 3 losses to 0 wins, and that comes into play with why Ryan lost. Todd lost 2 times, but then because of Ryan not being able to make it to the next round, he got to race again, and he lost that race. That's why he has 3. Just thought I would make that abundantly clear. But going back to the actual spreadsheet, because this is where I want to dive into this. In terms of total wins to losses, I mean, holy cow. Get ready for this number. In terms of, so I'm including Salt Lake City in this. So, in terms of the total racing win to loss ratio for Adam Anderson and Megalodon is 15 wins to 4 losses. That is insane.
Wow.
That is an insane amount. I mean, when you're able to narrow it, first off, you win your back-to-back racing wins in Houston. That is good. He had, I think, let me have a look at the previous week. So the first week he had 8 wins to 4 losses. So that's still pretty impressive. I really don't know what else to say to that. Moving down to Todd LeDuc, I think, has the next best. He's catching up, if I'm honest. Because of his impressive performance in Salt Lake City, he has 12 wins to 5 losses. So he did increase his losing streak, but he still has an insane amount of racing wins to his name. Moving forward, I wanted to look at... yes. So, I'm just gonna quickly go through the most notable things that I want to talk about here. So currently, to Adam's name, Adam has 4 racing wins. He has 1 skills win, 3 donut wins, 0 freestyle wins, and 2 overall event championships. Again, I want to talk about this and say that this includes Salt Lake City. So that is why there is multiple. In addition to that, I actually want to focus on Kristen because she's got a pretty impressive streak going. She has 0 racing wins. Her racing record is 2 wins to 7 losses, which seems like not a terribly good racing record, but I think the more and more that she gets used to this series, she's going to increase that streak. She has 3 skills wins, which is pretty impressive. 0 donut wins, 1 freestyle win, and 1 overall event championship. I think there was another driver I wanted to I think not Tom Meents. I think it was Bryce Kenny. Yes. So, Bryce Kenny has 0 racing wins. He has a win to loss ratio that is tied up. He is 7 to 7. So 7 wins to 7 losses, which is pretty damn good. He has 1 overall event championship to his name, and he is 3rd on the Stadium Championship Series. Other than that, it's really all I wanted to talk about that's noteworthy. Again, I'm going to keep doing this each and every week so that each week you're able to see, and you guys for yourself are able to judge on who you think is performing the best. And wow, that's all I have to say. What a weekend in Houston. This Stadium Championship Series is on a roll. It has been so goddamn good, and I cannot wait for Houston that is on tomorrow. Me and Ryan, we are going to be watching with a close eye. I literally cannot wait. This is going to be so epic, and I'm so excited to see what happens. So, I've finished talking for now. I'm going to hand it over to Ryan. And Ryan, do you have anything you want to say in regards to the the statistics that I brought up and how we thinking these drivers are faring out so far for the first week of the Stadium Championship Series?
I kind of touched on this earlier. Adam Anderson, this guy back here, he has been killing it. I mean, like you said, his racing record is phenomenal. He was somebody that really surprised me. I did not think this was going to be a good track for Adam. I thought Tom, not saying this isn't a bad track for Tom because Tom was in the championship race both nights, but I thought Tom had this thing in the bag. I thought this was Tom's track, hands down. He was going to walk away with both. Adam was laying down some insanely fast passes, so I'm interested to see how much, which not just Adam, but everybody, I'm excited to see how it all carries over to this weekend, to see how consistent they are in their areas. But yeah, Adam, looking impressive. I really want to see Kristen have a good weekend with no truck problems, and we'll just have to see what that happens.
And one thing I just thought of just now, my final note that I want to bring up, I literally just thought of this. Going back to consistency, I wanted to talk about this because I think this would be really interesting, right? Assuming that they're doing the same track design and it's the same dirt base and pretty much it is exactly the same as the last week. Considering there is now there's only 2 weekends of Houston and there's like 4 or 5 more shows left, I think that, well, first off, I know this for a fact. This is where drivers, especially at the top of the pack, are going to make up the most amount of points. If the track and everything is consistent and has stayed the same, the drivers are going to easily be able to adapt to these conditions. And because they're going to be able to do it so easily, they're going to be able to get so many points. Let me put a hypothetical situation to you guys out there and to you, Ryan, right? You have, like I just said, the track conditions, the track itself, everything is the same. Adam is undefeated in racing. Could you imagine if we left Houston next weekend and he was 21 wins to 0 losses? That would be insane. Because the reason why I say that is because Adam was able to adapt to it so easily. And in a perfect world, if he was able to be consistent, he would get so many points. The same with Tom Meents. If Tom Meents could keep averaging that final round race, he would get so many points. You've just got to think of it like that. Really, these next 2 weekends in Houston are important because that is going to decide what we're gonna be able to see for the rest of the season, because we're in the same venue for 4 or 5 shows. You're really gonna, when you leave Houston, you better have a fairly good points lead or just a fair amount of points before leaving Houston, because it's really gonna dictate the rest of the series, I bet. And I'm gonna make a prediction right here, right now, even though we kind of did earlier. Whoever comes out on top in points, unless they are like 2 or 3 points behind, 2 or 3 points ahead, the person who is leading this series will, at the end of the third round or the third weekend in Houston, will be the points champion. That is my very, very bold prediction. I'm probably gonna look like an idiot and be wrong, but I guess we'll see. But that's just how I'm thinking, because I think if the conditions are the same and everything else is the same, consistency is what matters. And if the drivers that I mentioned are consistent, well then, easy dub. Tom Meents wins, or whoever's leading. Before I close off today's episode, Ryan, is there anything you want to touch upon what I just said? My very, very bold prediction.
I think you read my mind, because literally before the episode closed, I was going to ask you, okay, I'm going to say one and I want you to say one really bold prediction. And you said it before I even got it out of my mouth. The word bold. You said it to a T what yours was. So I guess now I got to say mine. I'm kind of repping him right now. My bold prediction, Todd LeDuc right now is 7th place with 38 points. My prediction, by the end of this weekend, Todd LeDuc moves up to the top 4.
Hey.
That's my prediction.
I think it's possible.
Yeah, I agree. And long term, I think this is going to be a 2-way battle between Tom and Adam. I think that those are the only 2 that are going to consistently each week compete. Bryce is really going to have to prove himself this weekend if he's going to stay up there in the top 3. But I don't know, man. Anything can happen now. I'm just excited for tomorrow.
That's just the thing. This is how Monster Jam is. It's unexpected, unscripted. That I can't even. God damn, I can't even make a joke and not speak.
Unforgettable.
Unforgettable. No, my thing is unforgettable. Anyway, I'm sorry. I'm so bad at this. Anyway, that's just how Monster Jam is, and especially this series. When you have a caliber of these amount of trucks, you cannot predict anything. You can't just label it down to one thing, and that's what's going to happen with this series. And I agree with you. As I'd said before, I kind of interrupted you. But nonetheless, that's how it's going to be. It is going to be an absolute hard-fought battle the entire time. I am so looking forward to this series and just what is left and what we have in store. I cannot wait. I'm going to be on the edge of my seat tomorrow. And unfortunately, that is the end of today's episode. So thank you everyone so much for listening. Remember, if you want to follow my social media, it's at Monster Jam Historian on Instagram, Monster Jam Historian on YouTube. You can also follow the official Weekly Monster Truck Podcast Instagram and Facebook page. The Instagram page is at the Weekly MT Podcast on Instagram. The Facebook page is just Weekly Monster Truck Podcast. Go type it in. If not, check if you're listening on Spotify. It should be in the link in the description. In YouTube, it's also going to be in the link in the description. It's also going to be in the pinned comment. And for more places to listen on, you can check out the Anchor, Spotify, Radio Public, and Google Podcast page. In addition to that, the spreadsheet that I have, I'm going to link it in the pinned comment down below and in the description. So you have two places to check it out. That's just to get brushed up on your statistics and have a look. Again, I will be updating it. I won't be updating it live, but I will be updating it just a few days later, so please tune in, and I'm really looking forward to it. Ryan, first off, thank you so much for coming on this today's podcast and talking about Houston and all the amazing things that's been happening in the industry and Monster Jam. But as always, in true Weekly Monster Truck Podcast fashion, is there anything you would like to shout out or plug before we close off today's episode?
Yeah, I think I speak for myself and everybody in the Monster Jam community. Huge thank you to Connor Bauer for live streaming events live so we can see it as it's happening. And thank you to Reagan, Monster Jam Lord, for recording all the shows. I know he wasn't at show number 1 because of his flight got canceled. But thank you so much to you guys for filming so we as fans who aren't able to go can see the event with such great quality. We really appreciate it.
Absolutely, and we gotta pray to literally our Lord and Savior, Monster Jam Lord, and Connor. Obviously, I want to thank them. I do actually want to quickly talk about what Connor's doing. He has said that all the shows he's going to, so he's going to be at the third weekend of Houston, I believe. Orlando, I think he said he's going to Jacksonville and Tampa. Not sure about Atlanta, but he is going to be live streaming all of those events on Facebook. So if you have Facebook, first off, make sure to give me a follow, give my Weekly Monster Truck Podcast page a follow, and Ryan and all the other Weekly Monster Truck Podcast members. But also check out his live streams, really engaging, and he has great footage. And of course, if you don't want to watch it live, you can always check it out later on Monster Jam Lord's channel, Reagan's channel. He has a fantastic amount of monster truck coverage, and it is such great quality. Literally, I've never been so entertained at the quality of a monster truck fan video before, except for Reagan's footage. So Reagan, good job. Keep it going. And unfortunately, that is all. I do want to say also that I am planning some other episodes, obviously, with the 2021 Stadium Championship Series. Keep on continuing each and every week. I am going to be obviously continuing to sit down with Ryan and hopefully Zach, who unfortunately couldn't make today's episode because he was at work, and that really sucks. But hope to have him on next week, and obviously other guests. But also, I do want to mention I'm trying to plan some episodes with some amazing guests. You guys, if I can, I'm still planning. I'm hoping to get some really, 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 really awesome guys install and girls. I shouldn't just say men and women from the industry, drivers, hosts, you name it. Hopefully it's going to be coming out very, very soon. I'm so looking forward to it. And I want to thank you fans again from the bottom of my heart, from each and every week, coming back and listening to the podcast, supporting the podcast, listen to it, watching it, all that. You guys mean the world to me. You mean the world to Ryan. You mean the world to everyone else that's on the Weekly Monster Truck Podcast team. And yeah, thank you everyone so much for listening. Have a fantastic week. Keep on jamming. And yeah, that's pretty much it. See you guys. Take care.